Hi, Film Addicts. Welcome back to part 2 with Terissa Kelton. Oh my gosh, we're just having such a good time. We have so much more to tell you about. Terissa Kelton is from Texas, and she's the co-founder with John W. Hyde. And she's also the executive vice president of Rehab Entertainment. And you can check out the amazing animation film based off Harriet the Spy on Apple Plus TV. So let's welcome her back to the show. Hi, Terissa. Welcome back to the show.
Hello. Thank you for having me back, Marilyn.
Yeah. So in part 1, we were talking with our beautiful audience all about your journey from Texas, where you were an actor and producing these amazing indie films, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you got some awards out there too. Do you want to share any of your awards out there with your films?
Oh, wow. I don't know if I can remember all of them individually, but it was a lot of, there are a lot of great film festivals out there who, are out there supporting independent films and their creators. And yeah, I think I won one for Best Director on a Short Film. I won a couple of them for acting. We were nominated at Austin Film Festival for audience a choice. We were one of the top within like the top 3, I think, of the Audience Choice Awards. So yeah, I've gotten a handful over the years, which is very exciting. Actually, Harriet the Spy is nominated over in Annecy in France, and we should know the results next month.
Oh, congratulations!
Yeah, it's very cool. It's very exciting. Awards are fun. They sometimes they mean more to some people than to others, but it's always nice to be recognized. It's always, and especially on Harriet when Annecy is such a huge animation festival. Though our animators and our creative team on Harriet the Spy deserve every single accolade out there. So very excited.
And your animation team was Titmouse, right?
Titmouse Animation.
Yes. Yeah. And yeah, maybe we can have the director because I have a lot of animation directors come on the show. Yeah.
Allison, yeah.
Yeah.
We should get Allison on here. That would be cool.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
And
Great.
you said John Hyde worked on, did you say The Simpsons?
He did. He was the executive producer on The Simpsons. When he was running Film Roman. So in the early days of The Simpsons, yeah.
Because we had David Silverman on Film Addicts.
Yes, the connections,
Yeah.
Film Addicts connections. I like it.
And he played the tuba.
Oh my God, amazing.
Yeah, so if you want to sing or do some acting or quotes, if you have any favorite lines from a movie, feel free.
Oh man, okay. I don't know if I'm gonna be that cool of a guest, but maybe something will occur over the next little while.
Yeah. Well, maybe you could share one of your favorite directors growing up then. Film directors.
Oh man. There's so many. I mean, I'm a really big James Cameron fan. Speaking of connections, my great uncle, who in part 1 we talked about, he got me one of my first jobs here in LA. My great uncle actually worked with James Cameron when he was working on the Corman movies, and I've always dug him. He's such an adventurer too. Like, I think he has something like the world. He's dove into the ocean like several meters down. Like, I think he might have the most, like he's I don't even know what I'm saying. He's dove the farthest in the ocean, I think, Marilyn, or something like that. But he's a fantastic director. I think his background in visual effects, makes him particularly incredible because he's always sort of pushing the envelope in filmmaking and in the visual medium. And I think that's it's incredibly hard to have people take a chance on you doing those kinds of, like, getting Avatar made. That's incredible to get that and to have people trust you with that. And that I respect him. I respect him a lot. And I loved Titanic when I was 12 because I was a huge Leo DiCaprio fan. And so, he sticks out in my mind. I'm also a big M. Night Shyamalan fan, big David Lynch fan, Wes Anderson, lots of different people One of my favorite movies is Armageddon. Um, and it was funny because I thought you were going to ask me my Criterion movie. And I was going to joke with you and be like, it's Armageddon by Michael Bay, which it very well could be because it was actually one of my favorite movies growing up. And I was excited to see that was actually part of the Criterion collection.
Hey, Terissa, what's your favorite Criterion film?
Oh, man, now you got me. But I was prepared, Marilyn. I was prepared. Le Diabolique, I think, has to be at least one of my top favorites on Criterion, which is the Henri Clouseau film, the French film.
Oh, the French film. Ooh.
With the two ladies, the two women, and you are not sure like what exactly is going on, and it's like it's got like tons of like horror elements and thriller elements, and then I gotta say, like, as a audience member today, when I was watching it, I was on the edge of my seat. Like I kind of knew what was happening, but when it got to the end, I was still stunned. Like I was like, what is going on? Just very well done. Very much love that movie.
Yeah, they have some good films, and like a lot of films about relationships or important topics. Just amazing. Yeah, I like the Diabolique, the French film, because my alter ego and my young adult books, I am like A.A. Banks, and he's more like he's got the fedora hat and the trench coat and the like secret spy, and I was just so mesmerized by the costume and the style of that French movie, and of course the guy was handsome, didn't hurt at all, but a good actor. Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, you like to. I mean, I just like good actors too. And it could be anybody, but in particular, it doesn't hurt when they're.
It's like a charm, like a presence, a good presence.
Yeah, and then the story is just like you said, very mysterious. You like follow him, what's he doing, what's going on, and yeah. So you do all these amazing. It seems like every time you work with someone, you become a producer, a partner with them. So you've got this really beautiful gift that you can work well with people, and you come here. You have this great uncle, and then he gives you this gig where you are working with these construction people that redo, like they redo, what do you say, that redo the construction of a house or a pool. And
they had to. So Scouts versus Zombies was a Paramount movie that some people might remember. And yeah, they had shot, when they did the initial shoot, they had shot at a location. I think it was like an echo park. And it was a pool, and it was like an empty pool, and it was this big like rave party. And so the pool was like, it was completely graffitied, and when they did the pickup shots, they couldn't go back there to shoot for whatever reason. So they had to rebuild this pool. So these guys had to not only build it, build the pool, but they also had to spray paint like exactly how the original pool was. And I think that was probably the craziest part, and the part that I was always like, you guys, this is like so brilliant, because to take a whole pool, which thank God they photographed it, like good on them, to take that whole pool and like have to recreate it with all of this very just nonsensical graffiti artwork. I would have been so overwhelmed if I had that job, and they were just like, nope, we know how to do this, we got it. And yeah, I laugh at the fact that they laughed at me so much for being so excited. But yeah, it was incredible. And yeah, I'm very thankful for that great uncle, if you will.
And then your roommate left a job, and then that's how you got into
swooped in there. Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny, like this industry can be so crazy, Marilyn. And so, I think, when I came out here at the top of 2015, I kind of had like, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. I don't know if I'm going to make it. I had a lot of doubt. I had a lot of, my exit from Austin was, well timed, and I needed to do it, but it was also, very sad and hard. And I was leaving behind family and friends and this community of filmmakers that I had known for so long. And there was a comfort to that. And I had to leave it and come to Los Angeles, where it's, can be very uncomfortable. And yeah, it's the people you meet. And, I try, you said earlier, I have, I make I try to partner with people, and I think it's, even if I meet someone and we can't immediately jump into a project, right? Like you meet so many different people and you want to work with them, but you don't want to force working with them on something, but you know that eventually something's going to come around and you're going to be able to link up with that person in some way. Maybe you don't realize it, sometimes you meet people and you just have a good time, and then, a year and a half later, you're on a call or you're in a meeting and you're like, oh my God, hello. Like, we're working on this, like, wild. And, I always foster the mindset of like anyone that I meet, um, I try to, I find them on LinkedIn, or I find them on social media. I try to stay up to date with things they're working on. And, even if it's something of just like liking a Instagram story every so often from them, I wanna be someone that they also remember. Like, oh, that's, I'll never forget, like, this happened recently. I stalk Instagram now for the hashtag Harriet the Spy, obviously. And I found like a couple of people posting about it. One was a translator. She translates the show for I think Spanish and maybe French. But I like did a shout out to her, and she now like follows me really closely and like likes my stories, and we talk in the chat. And when this last drop of 5 episodes came out, I was like, hey Olga, like these are so good, and she was like, thank you so much for like recognizing me. And I was like, yeah, like you're helping, take this series from, one language culture to another. That's such a huge thing. And, another example is like there was a girl who was a prop maker or prop designer on Harriet the Spy. So she had designed like, I think like some of Harriet's notebooks and just props that were laying, that are in the series. And I like re-shared her story, and she was so appreciative, and I was just like, of course, like you made this come to life. And so I really try to credit people who may not always get credited. One of the things I really like to do is anytime I'm in an email chain with executives, I like to go add their assistants on LinkedIn, because I'm like, those people are gonna I might need a job from them in like 15 years, like, hey, hello, hi, please keep up with me, and I'll keep up with you. And when you're running studios and I need a job, I'm gonna come to you. But or if it's just like sometimes people leave their executive jobs and actually become creators. And it's cool to watch those journeys. And it's cool to be able to say, hey, I knew you when you were an executive, or whatever at so and so company. And now I see you're a filmmaker. Like, what are you working on? What are you doing? What are your ideas? So I think it's important, staying connected to people, trying to maintain good relationships with people is really important. And especially, like specifically with Harriet, finding those people who are also talking about it, on social or otherwise, and promoting them. It's been a really cool experience. Just to go back to the artists, because that's all I can talk about on the show. But the artists from Titmouse, they'll share their like sketches and their designs, and sometimes they'll share just like their sort of like fan art that they've done with Harriet, maybe another property, Kingdom Hearts or something. And that's so cool. Like, that's so meaningful. Because they are spending so much time with the show and with all of those characters, probably in some ways more time than I've spent, even with the all of the years of development that I spent. They're designing and drawing and animating the show. So all this was just another way for me to praise the animators, Marilyn. But
that's
I guess,
fine. Yeah. And did
yeah.
you work with Zoom, or did you Zoom? Was everybody Zooming?
Oh yeah, yeah. So that's a fun part to talk about, Marilyn. So we actually got greenlit right before the pandemic in 2020. And so our writer, we had been writing, and we had a writer's room on the lot, and that was awesome. And then when we started getting into animation is when the pandemic hit, and we were obviously very nervous, like as everyone else was during that time. And we were so fortunate that we were an animated show because everyone unplugged on a Friday, unplugged back in on a Monday, and we were never off schedule. We were never off budget. Everything went really, really smoothly. All of our meetings moved to Zoom. And I had a particularly rough middle of 2020. I had a family emergency that took me to Texas for a good part of 6 months of 2020, and I was so grateful to have that show going because it was like weekly design meetings where we would just get on, the executive producers and producer would get on a Zoom and go through the art packages, from Titmouse. And I was just so overjoyed, to like have that as not only obviously, our shows being produced, but it was just a distraction from the pandemic, from this other thing that had happened. And then same when we had started doing the voice records, the voice records were through Zoom. So you had actors, some of which were kind of new to VO, but were fantastic actors, but didn't have a professional setup. And so they're in their closet. I think Beanie was in her closet or mom's closet and she would be like, look at my mom's like awesome shoes, and it was just so, it was so personal, and we were all going through it. We're sitting around in our pajamas and, looking at people in their closets and, but also creating. We were also all creating and bringing the show to life. And, I wish that experience on anyone, in a pandemic or not. It's just such a fantastic experience to be part of that, to be part of such a talented group of people, and in this particular instance, creating in such a strange, never before seen environment.
Yeah, a lot of people like it now too. Like I think a lot of animators are like, I want to work from home, or some people like working from home,
I
and then
think a
some.
lot of people do. I think there's a lot of people. I mean, I like the flexibility to go into the office or stay at home. And it's just John and I in an office, and so I like being there because it's pretty much just like I'm there, except when we need to have conversations. But the ability to stay home and still do business, and I like Zoom because you can see people and you can, obviously you can share presentations and you can work, sometimes I'm working with writers if we're going through a pitch and we're live in a document. And even though we're kind of like working in a document, we can see each other, communicate with each other. And like, if they make a face, I'm like, okay, I'll delete that. Never mind, that kind of thing. You still get sort of that connection with that person. So yeah. And also, let's be honest, like no one loves driving especially in Los Angeles. And now with being able to just jump on a Zoom and have the meeting and then not have to get in your car and get on the 101 or the 405 or whatever god awful street you have to get on, it is, I think, truly incredible. I think Zoom would have been a thing in the future anyway. I think the pandemic just fast tracked it. And then also the other thing is, this is really cool, Marilyn. Like I recently took a voiceover class because I'm kind of like dipping my toes back into the acting thing just for fun. But what was cool about it is it was all through Zoom, and there was somebody from the Netherlands. It was like 4 a.m. for him, but he could do it. He could do this class that he would have never had access to before. And I think that's awesome. Like I think that's so, it's just more accessible. It's just more access to things we never had access to before. And even, it would have been hard for me to take the class if I had to drive somewhere to do it, and it's just, it's incredible the opportunities that people have now. So yeah, I'm all for Zoom. All for Zoom.
I love technology like this too, because like a lot of people were able to adopt dogs, and one of the things in Los Angeles, all the dogs were adopted, so it was so nice to see so many rescue dogs get adopted because you could be at home with your pet, and a lot of people are more relaxed with their pet, or and because I still audition, I have a manager and an agent as an actor,
Amazing.
and I remember like before I was just a talent manager, and all the casting directors like tell the people don't wear cologne or heavy perfumes and stuff, and don't touch their hands, and like they were already like hypersensitive about when you come in the room because they deal with so many people in auditions that
Yeah.
like if you had smells and perfumes and like we're like don't touch anyone's hands, try not to shake it, and like don't wear heavy colognes, and people literally thought like uh, that you would get these instructions from these casting directors about that. So at least like if you are chemical or perfume or fragrance free, like you in your home office, and you don't have to worry about people smoking. And I remember also the cleaning, some cleaning supplies
Oh,
were
yeah.
heavy, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Not having to deal with some of that, definitely good thing. Only having, to see this much of someone, also nice, especially during the pandemic when everyone, like I said, was in their jammies. Like, why wear pants? And during these tough times, and
I hope they were wearing clothes, right? Because you hear some stories in the background of, did you hear the stories?
oh yeah.
Things going
Well,
wrong in the
no, people
background.
have like the mirror in the background, and so even though they can't see it from the camera angle, they can see the reflection in the mirror behind you, and someone's
Oh, I think I have mirror
in their
today.
boxer
I
shorts.
have mirror today. But
Oh
I
my god,
think,
you do have a mirror. That's hilarious. I
yeah,
didn't even notice before. There's no
yeah,
face.
but I think on my Zoom, I have, like, a permanent picture, so I don't have to worry what the background is, so maybe that's safer, like, because
Yeah.
today I had to move from the back room to the front room. Normally, I'm in the back room, and there's a window back there, but, like, Zoom, I have a permanent picture, so, like, I don't have to worry, like, what the house looks like or anything like that. But a lot of people go, "Yeah, we get to work in," or, like, no one can see the lower half, so they're in, like, boxer shorts or
Right.
shorts and flip-flops, and I just say, like, that time that you're commuting, an hour in the morning and an hour back, you can walk the dog and exercise or do something for you that's more
Yeah, and do
healthy.
some meditation, like, decompress a little bit. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. But I think, again, Zoom has just really opened up accessibility for, I think, writers, filmmakers, talent actors, to get out there more. It's incredible, and I really like that. I really like the idea that people don't feel like they have to move to Los Angeles or New York to, kind of start getting into the business. It's much more open now, and that's a great thing. That's a really great thing.
Yeah, that's, and you can maybe live somewhere with, like, more land. I just had a director come on, and he's like, his film is premiering for the Tribeca Film Festival
Oh,
in June, and he moved his family. He has, like, 2 daughters. He moved his family to a small town in Texas. He moved back to
there you
Texas.
go.
Yeah, Chris
There you
Dowling.
go.
Chris Dowling came on, so, yeah, so he does, like, a lot of faith-based films, and so that was
Nice.
really interesting. So, um and so your writer's room, like, how did that work? Do you feel like it works good on Zoom? Because some people say sometimes maybe in person is a little bit, but, I mean, if you
Yeah, it's hit or miss. I think some people like the in person, and I find this with animators too. Really, just people in general. There are people in general, even executives, who are like, I like being able to go pop down to so and so's office and have a quick conversation and not have to schedule a Zoom and do all of that, or like, and creatives, whether they're in animation or design or whatever they're doing, they like to be able to sort of like cross pollinate amongst different teams doing different things, and you kind of miss that when you have to kind of put on a stricter, you have to schedule Zooms, and you're not just able to sort of float from desk to desk. And writers' rooms, I've heard both things. I've heard some people really love it. They like to get into the writers' room. They like to, have the ideations going on within that certain time frame, and then they like to go away and they like to write. They like to do their thing, and then they like to bring it back. And then again, some people love having the people there so that as they're writing, they can pop up and say, "Hey, what about this idea?" So I think it just depends, and I think at least now, as much as we just talked about, we love Zoom and all of that. I do think now it's cool that hopefully we're getting to a point where there's more flexibility, more options if people want to go into a work environment, if a writer's room wants to gather in person, a couple days a week and have that time to sort of cross pollinate ideas. And then maybe the rest of the week do Zoom meetings, more frequently. I think that's cool. Um, we're all figuring it out as it happens, and I think the hybrid approach is good because some people work better from home. Some people thrive in the office. So I
Yeah.
think it'll be interesting to watch, the habits over the next couple of years and how Zoom evolves and how the workplace evolves. But I think we're all the better for it.
Yeah. And then everyone knows by now that I'm dyslexic. So, and I want to share that you have you're in preschool with a studio partner, and you're developing and will executive produce an animated series based on the beloved picture book The Color of Us by Karen Katz, and it follows a little girl with dyslexia. So, you want to share with us a little bit about that?
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. I forgot to mention that in part one, but that's good. We saved it for part two, so the best for last. Yeah, we have this great relationship with the writer illustrator Karen Katz, Sydney Clifton, who actually produced Harriet the Spy, is our partner on that as well as the Jim Henson Company. And yes, it's The Colors of Us is this amazing book about a girl who is based on Karen Katz's real daughter, she does have dyslexia. She also has this amazing way in which she walks through the world and looks at the world around her. And that book is all about looking at skin tone and comparing it to amazing, beautiful, delicious things that she loves in her life, which is very important and very positive. And we are sort of taking that world and expanding it, really focusing it on this little girl who just sort of has a different way of approaching problems, or approaching life in general. And she has dyslexia, and while that sometimes gets in her way, it's not actually a big hindrance for her. It's actually what makes her who she is, and who she is a beautiful person and an out of the box thinker. Dyslexics are actually like extremely talented, amazingly talented people. I think LinkedIn now, it's like if you're dyslexic, you're actually, they put you in sort of this higher bracket of, you have a different way of thinking and approaching things, which is extremely positive and beneficial. So yeah, very excited to be working on that, and just to show sort of another, to show someone who's neurodiverse walking through the world and making a difference.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, that's really good. You have so many great things. You have Flight of the Navigator that'll be on Disney Plus. You are reimagining Short Circuit based on the 1986 cult classic, which that's a little bit more on the is that more horror, right? Yeah, we have a couple more minutes left if you want to just share with us real quick
Oh,
on that one.
for Short Circuit. Short Circuit is it's actually a comedy.
Oh, that was a comedy.
Yeah, it's a comedy. There might be some horror elements. It's he's a robot. He's
Oh,
Johnny
okay.
Five, so who knows what kind of trouble Johnny Five will get into? Maybe it's horror with his comedic charm leading the film.
Oh, I think that because I no, last time that we were here, you were going to do a horror project, right?
Oh yeah, I
The
do have a horror
pregnancy,
project. I
the
have a
pregnancy horror film.
project. Yeah. I know I love horror, and I do have a project with a great writer. Sahaj Sethi, and it's a pregnancy horror. And so the protagonist is a woman who's pregnant throughout the movie as she's sort of dealing with different horrors around it. It's kind of a haunted house movie. But yes, very excited about that one as well. Hopefully, some good news to share very, very soon on that one.
Oh, that's like pregnancy horror. Oh my gosh. So yeah. So
Yeah.
oh my gosh, it's been fantastic having you on the show today. And so where can they keep up with you? Do they just are is most of your stuff right now on Apple Plus streaming, like Harriet the Spy, and
Yeah,
anywhere else?
Apple TV Plus will have Harriet the Spy, and then to keep up with other projects that are in development that aren't on platform yet, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter. Terissa Kelton is my handle, just my name, and I try to post a lot about what we're up to and different things. So I would love to share it with more people.
And we just want to thank our audience. Thank you so much for listening and making us hit #1 in countries weekly. And please subscribe and download the podcast.